Welcome to This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan, Nale, your local experts on all things real estate in Middle Tennessee. Listen in as they discuss the current state of the market, the latest trends, and have a little fun while doing it. We do want to say the opinions voiced on this podcast are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individuals. All right, Bryan. Here we are,
Jonathan?
man.
No, that's not. This can't be real.
Here we are, man.
So, Jonathan all the time will come on when it's solo, just him. But I never do. And Jonathan had an emergency at his house today that needed taken care of, and I decided, hey, let's go with it. Let's just go solo with Bryan. Last week he was by himself because I was on a vacation with my family. So this week,
How was it, man?
it was great. This week you just get Bryan.
I'm here for it.
Because watch last week's, watch this week's, and I'll go back and watch Jonathan, and I'll try to watch myself with an honest critique, and we'll see which one of us is better solo. I got a feeling neither one of us is really good solo.
Well, you got me. I'm here.
Yeah, Trent's
I'll back you up.
That's
I'll back you up.
I'm not completely solo. I got Trent.
That's right.
The producer extraordinaire.
That's right. You wanna just jump right into some headlines?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. All right. What you got?
So I think it's I'm not really necessarily a headline, but maybe a market mover on this one. And that's just kind of, we've talked a lot about seasonality, and this is, if I was a real estate agent, I could come in here with data and bullet points and things. This is going to be more anecdotal. And I think it's something that it could be of encouragement to property sellers out there right now. And that's that you've heard the term seasonality. And you've heard people talk about how, hey, the summer's the busy time because people want to buy a house in the summer and get their kid in the right school and stuff. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. We're definitely back into a market that does have seasonality, but I think there's a misconception about what the seasons are when they start and when they end. And if your house is still in the market and it's not getting a lot of activity, not getting a lot of buzz around it, don't despair. Things might pick up sooner than you think, because what I've noticed over the last couple of years is that things will pick up in May and they'll be busy in June because everybody's trying to close in June and July. And that's because they want to do exactly like I just said. They want to be in the school district. I got a closing this morning where it was really important for that home buyer to get the house today so that she could get painters in there and get moved in and stuff before school starts. So she made sure that she went under contract in the month of June so that she could make sure that this all happens, right? So people, once you get to July 4th, they're focusing on wrapping up their summer. Maybe they've given up on trying to settle into a new house before school starts. Or maybe that was never really that important to them to begin with. And so what will happen is in July, as people are doing their summer vacations and people are just busy with different summer camps and things, I think you see showings and offers and stuff start to slow down a little bit. But then once school starts back and people can get into a rhythm, they can get into a groove, things start to pick back up, and you'll end up seeing a lot of times September be a really good month for contracts and for closings, and October can be a really strong month for closings. So if you're sitting there going, gosh, it's the summer, I'm supposed to have a showing every other day or supposed to have showings every weekend, and nobody's coming to the open house, like what's going on? It's the summer, it's supposed to be busy. Maybe don't despair. Just be patient. That doesn't mean to take your house off the market and try to come back in August, because you might miss out on the person who is trying to squeeze something in there. Or maybe there's a week where there's a blip in interest rates and interest rates drop and there's a flurry of activity. You don't want to miss those opportunities. You don't want to potentially miss the right buyer. So it doesn't mean to take your house off the market and try to come back in a couple of weeks, but it does mean just, be patient and take some encouragement that things may pick up for you sooner rather than later. What do you think about that, Trent?
Yeah, I think that's spot on, man. The example you gave really speaks to that, I would say.
Yeah. It was, it's that, bless her heart, that contract there, it was one of those we'll buy your house kind of listings. But they hadn't actually bought the house. This company just listed it while the people lived in it. Apparently they were older and they were having a hard time packing up and getting out. And then you're like, wait a second. They went on 3 vacations. They went on 3 times while they were in escrow, and they need occupancy. And so they went by and they were like, all right, well, they worked it out with the sellers to have everything out of the upstairs and downstairs. The house isn't empty, but everything's got to be moved to the middle of the room so the painters can go ahead and get in there and paint all the walls, and they can get started working on the place.
And they got to be ready by August.
Yeah, because she wants to be in the house with the kids, before
tough.
School starts. You don't want to move into the house and then start school on Monday.
So, and then start painting.
So she's trying to get the house ready for them to move into it, and then actually get moved into it, and all that has to happen before school starts on August 10th, I think.
Yeah, it's early.
So it gets earlier every year, it feels like.
It really does.
Other things out there, we got to be keeping an eye on inflation, and remember that there's the CPI, which is a consumer price index, and it tracks like the cost of groceries, the cost of gas, and there's the producer price index, and that's what the Fed's really going to be watching more closely, because the PPI number will break down more from the producers and the retailers and the sellers how inflation's looking. So whereas consumer price index, and I want to dive into this a little bit more next week, so teaser there. But like if the consumer price index is tracking the cost of groceries, the producer price index will track. So, okay, if this household was spending, $500 on groceries last month, it's going to know, the producer index, the PPI is going to know that, okay, they're still spending $500 on groceries, but now they're making the decisions because beef is high. So like they're buying less beef, but they're buying more chicken. So it gets a little bit more detailed on the PPI, and that's what the Feds are going to be looking at really when they're making interest rate decisions that will be coming pretty soon. I think we're expecting things to stay kind of flat and the next time the Fed gets together, but we'll see what their commentary is always what's really going to move the market.
When does that come out?
I believe they meet next week.
Okay.
So we'll have that to talk about next week as well.
More info next week.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Got a This Is Real for us?
Yeah, man. Let's get weird. Pay attention to the arrow. Can you see it?
Is that an altar?
It's a mirror with a person in it, and they may or may not be in their underwear.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Is it coming together now?
Yeah. I'd not like to zoom in.
Right.
I wouldn't have. This reminds me of the Chittister House, which is in Camden, Arkansas. Nobody watching the show has ever heard of Camden, Arkansas, unless my family's watching it, because they know that's where I grew up. Andrew. So
is that your cousin that listens?
Yeah.
Shout out
he's
Andrew.
In South Carolina. He's on my mom's side of the family. But I got my dad's side of the family's all from down in Arkansas and Louisiana and stuff. But anyway, the Chittister House was a set location for North and South with Kirstie Allen and Patrick Swayze. And so I've got 2 pictures from the Chittister House, and one of them is Kirstie Allen and Patrick Swayze sitting on the front porch swing while they were taking a break from filming North and South.
You took the picture?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No. The Chittister House sold both of these pictures. The other one was of a mirror, and they did some kind of photo. Like, this was in the 80s. There was no Photoshop, but they had doctored this photo, supposedly, allegedly, to where there's like from like the knees down, you could see a Civil War soldier's boots. And stuff. And it was like this mirror. But then like it was just kind of got a little hazy, and then all of a sudden there's boots.
Oh snap!
And it was like this ghost.
Oh,
the Chittister House was haunted from a Civil War general.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's what
it makes you think of.
That's what your This Is Real picture reminds me of.
Yeah, I saw that one. Like, that's wild. How can you miss that, and how do you make it public?
Yeah,
those are my 2 questions.
I don't know.
Anyway,
moving
on.
Let's go pro tip.
Yep.
I don't know how long Jonathan went with his show last week. This is going to be a quick one, man.
You're good.
Pro tip.
We're doing our duties today.
Yeah. So I'm Trent and I are both in a networking group called Believers in Business. And this morning I talked about the importance of working with a local lender. And I'm going to kind of lean into that. When you're looking at these, when you're thinking about who you want to do your mortgage, there's so many options. You got national players where it's like, push button, get mortgage kind of stuff. You've got, it's never that easy, by the way.
No,
It's just
don't do that.
It's not going to
Pro
be.
tip, don't do that.
And then you got brokers and you got banks and you got, if you really get in the weeds, you got correspondent, you got direct, you got all these, you got wholesale, all these different mortgage channels. I work for a bank, right? And the reason that I've chosen to align myself through this chain of mortgage origination in my career is that I love the support that we get from the bank. And when I talk about support, what I'm talking about dedicated processors, dedicated underwriters. We get all the marketing stuff, we get the manager support, but like when I talk about support, that operational support that we have at our company is so strong and it's so fantastic. And the example that I gave this morning in our networking group was a client who, is going through a divorce, and the divorce wasn't finalized yet. In fact, she going on a contract a little earlier than in the process than I realized that she was, and she didn't even have a signed marital dissolution agreement. And I've closed a lot of mortgages where the MDA had been signed, but the divorce hadn't been final. We didn't have a decree. But with the MDA, that gives you the parenting plan. So you know how much child support is, alimony, and those things that are going to factor into a debt to income ratio. And those are important factors in an underwriter's ability to approve a mortgage. And so with just a rough draft of an MDA, you don't know if those numbers are going to change or not. So we were able to go to our head of underwriting and get them to agree to let this particular loan go ahead and close before we had signed marital dissolution agreement, as long as both parties were willing to sign a letter stating that while other terms of the MDA might change, they were in final agreement on the amount of alimony and child support. And that worked for us. Now, if I was at a broker option, I wouldn't be able to escalate something to the head of underwriting. The underwriter would be the end all be all, and maybe they'd go up the chain, or maybe they'd just say, no, this is what it is, and we're not doing this. And so that's one of the things that I love about this retail, bank delivery mechanism of originating mortgages. And a lot of people think, well, brokers are always going to have the best rates because they shop for all the different investors. Newsflash, we do too. Every day, our lock desk, our secondary department goes out there and they find the best price for each interest rate. And so I always think of interest rates as like a menu. And on one side, you've got all the different rates, and those rates, they're going to range, this kind of market from 5.5% to 7.5%. And out next to each interest rate, there's a number. And one of those numbers is 0. That's the par rate. And that par rate means that, it doesn't cost the buyer any points, and they're not going to get any lender credit. That rate is free for everybody. Rates that are higher than the par rate, they're going to get a lender credit. So the lender's going to pay some of that buyer's closing costs. And we did a lot of those when rates were low, because if you could get a mortgage at 3.5%, 3.75% isn't that bad of a rate, especially if the lender's helping pay some of your closing costs, and it's a seller's market. So sellers aren't paying any closing costs. We helped a lot of people get into homes in a period of time when rates were lower, and it was a seller's market by being able to do that. Conversely, you've got rates that are lower than the par rate, and those rates have a number out next to them, and that number represents what that interest rate costs a home buyer or a borrower to be able to get. So if they want to go below the market rate, they can pay some discount points, and that's what you've heard is referred to as buying the rate down. So my advice, I guess, here with the pro tip is be aware of that kind of stuff, be aware of that information. And when you're shopping around for a lender, be aware of what their support system looks like. The loan officer is important. You got to click with the loan officer and trust that person, but do you trust their team? Do you have confidence that if something gets bumpy or something gets kind of weird, because sometimes things do get kind of weird at underwriting, do they have the ability through their channel of delivery to work through any challenges that might come up, and ask them what kind of what kind of channel they have. Ask them what their ability to work through tricky situations is. If you think that your situation's as cookie cutter as could be, you may not be aware of everything that goes into lending. I was talking with somebody else the other day who had seen their income come in, and I saw but they didn't send pay stubs. They sent payroll history. Well, come to find out, that person was 1099, not W-2'd. And so they had just started this job where they were getting paid on 1099 basis instead of W-2 basis, and that income doesn't count. So you want to find those things out early in the process rather than late in the process. If they had been on one of those push button get mortgage platforms, that wouldn't have bubbled up. That would not have been caught, because those operations, they'll send pre-qualification letters based on stated docs or stated income, and not go to the step of actually verifying documentation. So,
it's huge.
Yeah, all of these little details, all these little things, because are important. There's no such thing as a push button get mortgage.
Right.
That's a catchy slogan, but it's you can push button get a pre-qualification letter, but what kind of weight does it have? What kind of quality is there and diligence is there that's put into that pre-qualification letter if that's all you've gone through?
Yeah, that's good stuff, man.
All right, that was a long pro tip. I gotta catch my breath before we go into a shiny penny.
Yeah, man.
So the shiny penny to me here is that there are in the world of service-based economy, there are so many opportunities to find absolute studs out there who deliver great experiences and great service. And I think Jonathan is going through that right now, where he's kind of getting exposed to all of the great insurance agents that we have in this town, in this community. There's a bunch of them, and I know he's shopping for insurance, has a big decision to make, and it's not going to be an easy decision to make, because there's a lot of great people in our community, and that goes the same for real estate agents. And I'll say that if Jonathan was here, he knows that there's a lot of good real estate agents in this community. There's a lot of good mortgage lenders in this community, a lot of great title companies in this community. So the shiny penny here is that we're fortunate that we have a community in the real estate industry here of just top-notch folks who have the mechanisms and the teams to give a good experience, an exceptional experience. So that's my shiny penny, is you don't have to look real hard to find quality people.
That's facts.
Now you can stub your toe and you can get with something that's not great. But if you put in some work, you can find some great people. And I'll throw one more shiny penny. Last week we were in New York City, and it was a different kind of family vacation for us. A lot of times we'll go to the beach or we'll go to the mountains. To actually spend go into a city is more of like a long weekend kind of trip. But we actually took the better part of a week to go to New York City and kind of take it in. It's crowded, it's busy, it's dirty in some places, it's clean in other places. It's what you expect New York City to be. And so on Saturday, we're taking a food tour through Chinatown and in Little Italy. And the plan was to fly home Saturday night. And it is absolutely pouring down rain. We're all getting soaked. We pop into the Harry Potter store, and my daughter buys a Hufflepuff Harry Potter umbrella because she's Hufflepuff, and I'm looking at this $20 umbrella. I'm like, man, I'll just get a little wet. I'm okay. We walk out of that store, and then within 3 minutes, I'm at a little stand behind a cheap, flimsy $9 umbrella because I'm getting absolutely soaked. So now we finished the tour. All of our clothes are wet. All of our shoes are wet. The hotel was holding our luggage. I don't know why I'm talking about this.
No, this is great, man.
But there's a reason. I'm going to bring it home.
Penny.
I'm going to bring this home.
Okay.
I'm going to land this plane.
Let's go.
You see what I did there?
Yeah.
Because that's where this is going. If there's storms and you're flying and all your clothes are wet, your flight's going to get delayed.
That's right.
Or canceled. And so that's exactly what happened. We're at like the next last stop at this pizza place, and Erica looks at her phone. And it's like our flight just got canceled. So it's like noon, and our flight was supposed to be at like 8 p.m. And she's bound and determined to get us back home that night. So she finds we're supposed to fly on Delta out of JFK, I think, or LaGuardia. I can't remember. And so it was JFK. We're supposed to fly Delta out of JFK. So she finds us a United flight at 9:30 out of Newark. So now we're going to go to Newark. And so we get back to the hotel. We put on the last pair of track clothes because we knew it was going to rain, so we weren't surprised to be wet. But we didn't know that the storm system was going to be so bad that they were going to cause massive flight cancellations and delays throughout the day. So sure enough, we get our luggage. We get a car to take us to Newark. Car drops us off. We check the bags. We're sitting in the airport. It's about an hour before boarding starts, and we get a notice.
No,
that flight's canceled.
No.
So now we're in Newark, New Jersey. We have nothing except the clothes on our backs and whatever personal items we didn't put in our checked bags. And we checked all the bags. The airlines have gotten out of where like they charge you so much for carry-on. They were charging for carry-on bags, and they were charging for all stuff. By the time it got said and done, we just decided it was better and easier just to check everything, which was a little bit of a mistake because now we're stuck in Newark, New Jersey, with no change of clothes. And it's FIFA World Cup championships the next day, so all the hotels are sold out. We ended up finding, we got the last room at a hotel in Brooklyn. So we got an Uber because we were like, we're not trying to do the train because it's not even subway. You got to do a train and then get on a subway and go all these changes. We're not familiar with it at night, late at night, it's
probably not a good idea.
So we get an Uber, take us back into the city, drive us across Manhattan, down across the bridge.
How long did that take?
God, we got to the hotel around midnight.
Wow.
Wake up the next morning, go to Target, and buying clothes. Buy a suitcase. We had to buy a suitcase.
That's wild.
And there's no flights out the next day. Like Sunday's shot. So we were going to be there for 2 extra days.
Oh man.
Because as flights got canceled all day on Saturday, everything on Sunday got oversold. And so there was we could try to get on standby, but I was like, look, let's just take our punches and just make the most of this. And that's the shiny penny. We did. Okay. We made the most of it. We went to this awesome street food fair in Prospect Park, which is in Brooklyn.
Nice.
Prospect Park is kind of like Central Park, but not as famous. But it's a big park in Brooklyn. It was designed by the same guy, Olmsted, who designed Central Park.
Nice.
And it's a beautiful park. We didn't see much of the park, but we did go to this street food fair. And man, there was everything from West African food to Caribbean food. You got all the different Asian, because you got Thai, you got Chinese, you got Mandarin and Cantonese and different types of Chinese stuff. You got smash burgers.
Nice.
There's one guy that all he did was like gourmet French fries. They were so good. Korean food, like it was literally like you could just get a little bit here, a little bit there, and just kind of walk around and get filled up. It was great. It was so cool. And expose the kids to that and say like, look, hey, life threw us a big old curveball. Mm-hmm. We can get stressed about this, but at the end of the day, we're stuck in an airport. We're stuck in New York City for a couple of days. Like in the grand scheme of human history, how bad is that really?
I mean, that's probably like some of the most fun stuff almost.
Made the most of it.
Yeah.
We could have been salty and agitated and angry. And I think everybody went through, I say everybody, like my wife, 2 kids, we all handled it really well.
That's awesome, man.
I don't think anybody really went to a spot where we had a meltdown or a near meltdown based on the circumstances. Now, I'm not going to say the kids didn't have other things that gave them some meltdown moments, right. But overall, everybody handled the adversity that we faced in that really well. And I was thankful for that and proud of them for that. I think it comes from experience. It's not the first time we've had some crazy flight situations.
That's awesome.
But that's the shiny penny is that,
what about the rest?
Even when things seem like they're going wrong, find the opportunity. And it reminded me of this Jason Isbell song, Relatively Easy. It's on the Southeastern album. It's one of the best albums ever written, in my opinion. But the gist of that song is, our lives are relatively easy. If you think of the grand scheme of things, with all the luxuries that we have, the modern conveniences that we have, our kind has had it relatively easy.
Amen, brother.
Yes.
How was the rest of the trip?
It was great.
Yeah,
man. We saw everybody, a lot of people, especially in Tennessee, worried about going to New York because it's a big city, it's crowded, it's not, it's going to lean more blue than red. It's
World Cup. I mean, was that crazy?
World Cup was crazy because there was people all over the place, and I'd say stay away from Times Square. It did absolutely nothing for anybody in my family.
Okay.
It was just stay away from that area, but man, there's so much art.
Yeah.
In New York City, like we went to the Museum of Modern Art and we saw Starry Night.
Oh, wow.
We saw some Jackson Pollock paintings. We saw some Monet paintings. We went to an incredible show, and I'm not a musical. I don't like musicals very much, but we went to see Hadestown, which is going to be in theaters next week.
Nice.
With the original cast. It was an incredible musical, and the acting was just so incredible. And we were in this small theater seeing it. So like we could see the whites in the actors' eyes.
Wow.
Like, you could see every little wrinkle on their face and,
nice, man.
and twist of emotion as they acted out these scenes and sang the songs. It was a great trip. We didn't get to a baseball game. I'd have loved to have checked out a Mets game or a Yankees game, even though I'm not a fan of those teams.
Nah.
Here I am rambling.
No, that's cool, man.
But
I'm asking questions.
It was a different kind of trip. But I love traveling, and to say that you love traveling, you can't say you love traveling if you don't mix up the kinds of trips that you take. If I say I love traveling, but all I ever do is go out west and go on hikes or go to a different beach or a different island or something, that's not really traveling. My friend Robin C, she's a traveler.
yeah.
Globetrotter. She goes everywhere in the globe. She's been to some pretty awesome places.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. You did great.
Thanks.
We'll be back next week. Jonathan will be back hopefully, and we'll get caught up on the PPI and
into
CPIs and all the I's, and
yes,
we'll have some good info for y'all. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for next week. We'll see y'all then. Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale, your go-to resource for all things real estate in Middle Tennessee. Be sure to like, share, follow, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. We will see y'all on the next one.
Now for the nitty-gritty. Premise Mortgage Company is a subsidiary of Premise Bank, a member FDIC. Premise Mortgage NMLS number 1894879, BK number 1042893, ML number 1894879. As always, all loans are subject to credit approval and product guidelines. Equal housing lender.